So for the average person who's never experienced an alteration of consciousness, what is it that they could do in order to open themselves even a little bit to some non-ordinary state?
Well, I've got to take exception to your statement, the person who has not experienced these, who does not knowingly experience them. It's interesting, just a little example. Back in the early 60s, or late 60s, I guess, 70s, I would lecture to very young audiences in the West, because they were the people that were interested in these altered states of consciousness. And one night I was lecturing, and there was a woman maybe in her 70s in the front row. And she had a black patent leather bag and solid Oxford shoes and a print dress and her hair in a bun, and she was absolutely a perfect person at 70, that, you know, a very conservative, and I couldn't figure out what she was doing in this audience. I thought somebody brought their grandmother or something like that. And every time I would tell some extraordinarily, what I would call at those days, far out story about what I was experiencing inwardly through these chemicals, she would nod. And I thought, why is she nodding? And I thought, maybe she's got a problem with her neck. So I'd tell a more outrageous story, and she'd nod. And at the end, I couldn't stand it. I mean, she didn't look like she was somebody that was taking LSD. So at the end, I kind of smiled at her, and I kind of willed her to come forward, you know, and she came up and she said, "Oh, thank you so much. That's just the way I know the world to be." And I said, "How do you know? What have you done that allows you to hear these states?" And she leaned forward very conspiratorially and she said, "I crochet." See, and what that showed me at that moment was that the method that I thought was so important, that somebody else can cook a stew, somebody else can surf, somebody else, and anything that takes you to the edge of consciousness. Some people, women during their menstruation, there are moments when the chemistry of the brain naturally shifts in people. Fasting does that. Running, a lot of people that do running move into these altered states of consciousness.
So do you see it as a brain chemistry issue?
I see it as a brain chemistry issue, but in a funny way. Not that where you go is brain chemistry, but what keeps you from getting there is brain chemistry. The brain chemistry is like the veneer or the covering, and as you shift the chemistry, the whole thing becomes porous, and you can move into these other states of consciousness, which I do not think are isomorphic with brain.